Echo Fangry Wolfhill. Welcome to Kung Fu Havoc number 2. So in this first video, this is a martial art chit chat. We're gonna talk about the black belt system. Alright? We're not gonna do any Googling or any other shit. We're just going with my opinion, and you can choose to agree or disagree, which is fine by me. So first thing we're gonna talk about right off the bat, I do not like or give a flying frack about the black belt system. Now, let me break it down for you because a lot of y'all are going to be pissed off about the shit that I got to say. Again, you do not have to agree. That is your opinion. You are entitled to it, and may God have mercy on your soul. I also will say that more people will agree with me in secret than they would in public. All right. So let me explain the belt system, because the belt system varies from martial arts style to martial arts style to martial arts style. In most martial arts styles, you start off as a white belt and you end with a black belt. And whatever 6, 8, 9 belts in between, once you get to like certain belts, again, and I say this posthumously because this is the part that really pisses me off about belts. I'm not going to swear to it, but 9 times out of 10, you have degrees in every belt. 7th degree white belt, then you become a 1st degree yellow belt. It should not take that goddamn long to earn a yellow belt. I'm sorry, and it also depends on the system and the seafood and the school or the sensei, whatever, the teacher, the owner, etc., etc. I should not have to go through 7 trials to earn a yellow belt. I shouldn't have to do that. But in all fairness, it is a way of keeping track of your progress. Your 1st degree white belt, you already are 1st degree white belt as soon as you start. Your 1st degree white belt. Does that mean you can't beat anybody? Well, that depends on your fighting experience. It also depends on, are you new to this new style, or have you been taking this style forever? And just like me, can't do katas to save your life, which is a very important part of getting a belt. All right, and again, this varies from school to school, state to state, city to city. Everything is different everywhere. All right. Now, knowing that shit, that will give you a leg up on why I hate that shit. All right. When I started taking Taekwondo, I never got a yellow belt. I couldn't do Tosan. I couldn't do Tungu. And when he changed it to Naharate, it got even harder for me, and I couldn't do Tosan, and I couldn't do Tungu. Those are 2 forms to earn your 1st degree yellow belt and your 1st stripe. I could not do those, but I could spar with the best of the best in divisions higher than mine. And why could I do that? Because when I learned karate at 7, it was a freestyle karate. There was no forms involved. There was just, this is how you punch, this is how you kick, this is where you kick, this is where you punch. That's it. And then from there, it's hit or miss. It's hit or be hit. You're gonna be in the school of hard knocks, and you're either gonna get really good or you're gonna get beat up a lot. I didn't get beat up a lot. I got really fucking good. And that's the other thing. A lot of people who are teaching martial arts, whether it be online or in a dojo, they don't let you know it's okay to be scared to get hit. That's a natural thing. But also understand, this is why we teach you to block. And if your blocking is good, then you won't get hit. But you're still going to get hit because sometimes you're not going to block them all. You're not. You'll be able to block a majority, but you won't be able to block every fucking hit thrown at you. And people refuse to tell you that. We'll cover that later. But what we are going to stick to is this belt system. All right? 7 degree white belt, and then I get a yellow belt. Then I get 7 more degrees, and I go green. Then I get 7 more, and I go whatever the fuck the next color is, which is going to either be blue or orange. And then there's going to be brown and red and black. And I could be wrong on all the orders of those belts, so don't hold me to that. You can Google the belt system, and you can figure out. I know you start with white, and you end in black. And eventually, when you get to black, I believe you get 10 degrees or 12 degrees. I'm not sure. But to be honest with you, that shit don't mean shit to me. Alright? It really don't, because a belt builds 2 things. It builds rank in the school and courage. Now, when I say courage, there's also false courage. So technically, it builds three things. Because a lot of people get hyped up because they got a black belt. But if you hyped up and you have a black belt and you've never actually been in a fight, you've only been sparring with people in your school, that black belt means absolutely fucking bullshit. That's what it means. It means bullshit. Because if you're not out here fighting every day, which no one really is, you don't live in Angel Grove, so you don't have to watch out for putty attacks every time you go home from school. But if you're not training when the dojo closes, if you're off, oh, I can break this brick, I can break this board, another part of the system that we are going to touch on that has absolutely fucking nothing to do with martial arts. In fact, the system of belts is just for the sensei, sifu, shidoshi, maestre, whatever style you are taking, teacher to keep track of your progress, because they want to make sure that what they're teaching you and the belts you are earning are proficient to your ability to defend yourself. How freaking ever, if you don't live in a posthumously bad neighborhood, or if you're not being bullied by somebody at school or someone in the neighborhood, your chances of actually getting into a fist fight is 1 in 0. You know? Because it really depends. If you accumulate a lot of enemies, you will have a lot of enemies, which means you will probably have a couple of fights. If you don't accumulate any enemies, you probably won't get into any fights unless it's like you're in the right place at the wrong time and shit happens. You know, I accumulated a lot of enemies as a kid because I was fighting in the streets as a kid. I accumulated a lot of enemies as a kid because I'm mixed. I accumulated a lot of enemies as a kid because I do martial arts. I accumulated a lot of enemies in the streets as a kid because I'm short. And what people fail to understand is that your height will make you a target. Understand that shit. Your height will make you a target. Understand. I'm 5'3" and a half. I have been made a target more times than I can count because of the simple fact that I am short. I've been made a target more times than I can count because of my racial background. So trust me when I tell you, no, your height can and will absolutely make you a target. Without question, without remorse, those are some factors that you have to deal with. Now, how you get to the other side is going to rely a lot on your skill set. It's going to rely a lot on things that you don't know you can do until they're done. Now, this is why I said that black belt can give you courage, rank, and false courage. I'm not a black belt. I've beaten black belts in sparring matches. I've beaten black belts in actual fights. Unless they weren't black belts and they were just saying that they were black belts. Because people do tell lies about that shit. When people ask me what's your belt rank, I tell I don't have one. I don't believe in belts. And I don't. I honestly, truly to God, don't believe in belts for that very freaking reason that if you are a black belt, I should not be able to beat your ass. Period. Not in a sparring match, not in a real fight. I should not be able to beat your ass at all. That's just a simple fact of life. You have a black belt, i.e., black belt, courage, false courage, ranking in school. And just because you are the baddest black belt in your school does not mean you are the baddest black belt in your city. And, we don't have rival schools. It's a video game. It's not a real thing. Dojo storming is illegal. So, people aren't going around. We don't have a kumite. So, we're not doing that shit. We're not fighting for real to see who's the best in the world. Because a lot of people would die. Shoot fighting is illegal. The UFC also has rules. And when you're in the streets, there are no rules. Your belt don't mean shit. Your weight class don't mean shit. Your height doesn't mean shit. And these are the things that people are leaving off when they talk about martial arts. They leave this shit way the fuck off. And you can go watch any video, and unless you go to somebody like, damn it, I follow him and I can't think of his fucking name. Ramsey Dewey. Unless you follow somebody like Ramsey Dewey, who's going to give you the whole perspective because he was in the ring. Unless you follow like UFC champions and people like BJ Penn and shit, they're going to give you the whole 1,000. They're going to let you, yo, man, fuck a belt. That belt means two things. It means I'm a champion in the UFC. And it means As long as I hold that bitch, I'm gonna keep fighting unless my body gives out and I have to retire. You know. Now, other shit like the cases of Herb Perez and all these other great fucking martial artists, they're gonna tell you in the tournaments, I'm world champion. I don't go around looking for street fights, because they don't. They don't go around looking for fucking street fights. It's not something that they do. But it doesn't mean that they can't handle themselves in the street, you know. But a lot of cookie cutter motherfuckers, people who don't get the chance, they just watch the UFC. They may dabble in martial arts here or there, and they just think that they are instant badass when they see you. And so they're like, oh, I'm a badass. I'm a badass. I'm gonna fuck your shit up. And they could have a black belt, and it could be a legitimate black belt. They broke a board, they broke a fucking cinder block or something, and they are a bona fide badass in that class, in that school, in that part of their city. That does not mean you can't drop them over in my city, in my projects, and they can handle themselves. They may beat one or two dudes. They might not beat 4 or 5 dudes. And if they've never been jumped in their life, they are not going to know how to handle that, because there's a big difference in choreographing a fight scene for you to earn your belt than pressure testing. All right? Pressure testing is a different ballgame. In that dojo, when you are being choreographed to fight, you know these people. They aren't there to hurt you. We're in the streets. These people don't give 2 fucks about you. Period. Black belts out the window. If you don't know how to tie that damn thing into a knot and make it a weapon, then its only purpose is to hold up your pants. Simple. A lot of martial artists are going to get pissed off at this. A lot of you. And to you, I tell you, that's a you problem. Go out and field test that shit. Yeah, you got a black belt. Okay. Big fucking whoop. That doesn't mean you can whoop my ass. It just means you have a black belt. It doesn't mean I can whoop your ass. But we will find out when we fucking rumble. It's just that simple. Sorry, this axe is like messing with my leg. It's an axe, y'all. Tell you, I don't tell you guys any lies. Until this video is over, we're just gonna set that shit over there. Anyway, the whole matter of having this black belt system is that the system, if you're just using it to track your students' progress, I don't have a problem with it. But if you're building up false courage and hope and teaching your students that they are a badass because they are a black belt, and then they go to another school and get their ass handed to them by a white belt, are they really a black belt because they can break a cinder block with their hand or break a block with their foot? That just means you're fucking strong. It does not mean that you are going to be battle capable of handling somebody who has actually been fighting, constantly fucking fighting. Now, if you don't watch these things, you're not gonna know this, but there are a lot of professional child fights. And literally, most of these places are in Asia, and you see these kids training. They are young as 3 years old in the fucking ring fighting. And I follow a 3-year-old. She's like got to be about 10 years old by now. But I haven't seen any videos for her on YouTube lately, or on TikTok, or on Instagram. So she's got to be somewhere between 10 and 12 by now, because it's been a little bit of time. But she was kicking ass. The little girl had a little pink boxing gloves on. She's tearing shit up. She was beating up boys. So again, I don't believe that gender has anything to do with your ability to fight. And there are some women who can beat the brakes off of fucking men, and you don't have to believe it, but you can find out. You can fuck around. I'm not talking about transgender women. I'm talking about biological women that can and have beaten the dog shit out of men. Don't underestimate somebody because of their gender. My kung fu style is mostly Wing Chun, which was made by a woman to fight gigantic ass men, and I have to remind people about that shit over and over again. Now, the myths and legends have changed throughout the years, but that does not change the fact that Wing Chun did exist, and that her style was made to beat the shit out of big people. I'm sorry, I could not word that any better than how I just worded it. There was a lot on the line for her back then, and her body and her choice. And her choice was to beat that dude's ass. That was just simple. They've made a couple of movies. They made a couple of TV series. I advise you to go find them, watch them, and then interpret what you will. All right? Sorry, I'm trying to close this window thing here. Now, I'm gonna put it to you straight. If you think that a woman can't beat your ass, you sadly mistaken. Now, physically, she might not be stronger than you. But that does not mean she's not faster. That does not mean that her combat speed and her combat reflexes and her combat strength can't put your ass down. See, a lot of things go into martial arts that people who you're following on the internet who are not Echo Fang Grey Wolf don't tell you about that shit. Because if I throw a punch and I throw an elbow and it's just that quick and I don't get that block up in time when somebody else is doing it, I'm gonna fucking get hit. And I'm gonna fucking know it. And if they hit me right, I'm going to fuck to sleep. There's no ifs, ands, and buts about the shit. I'm going to fuck to sleep. And this is the reason why I said, the black belt system is bullshit for me. Y'all may love the system, and you can have it. I don't give a damn at what your school policy is. If you have the belt system, the SAS system, whatever, But understand you need to make sure that you tell your students this belt only counts in this dojo. You can get the best black belt within the first fucking year of training, which I don't agree with, but you can, because you can have private lessons and skip some belts or whatever. But at that same damn time, if you don't tell your students, and a lot of people don't, I know Master Ennis didn't tell people, that belt don't count when you get outside. No one in the real world outside of you knows that you have a black belt other than the people inside your school. If you're walking down the street and you're not wearing your gi, no one's gonna look at you and say, "Oh, this guy's got a black belt. I'm not gonna fuck with him." That you'll get the opposite. "Oh, this big burly bastard think he's somebody. I'm gonna try to bring him down a notch." And about that time, that's when you warn them and say, "Hey, look, I know martial arts. Don't make me hurt you." And a lot of people be like, "Hurt me if you think you can," and then shit goes down. Now, as I like to tell people all the freaking time, be careful. That belt may help you only a little bit. It's not going to mean shit out in the streets. If you're fighting another martial artist from a different dojo and you have a reputation, yeah, it might come in handy. But the reality, I'm sorry, I'm watching Taya Valkyrie and whoever this young lady is. Just so that you guys see, that's why I was going to go do this somewhere else so I wouldn't be distracted by these hot girls in the ring. They're not my flawlessly beautiful and dangerously sexy crush, as they were saying. But anyway, moving on. The black belt system is okay in some situations. It's not okay in all situations. I was told for years that I could not open up a school here in Virginia if I didn't have a 5th degree black belt. I was told for years that if I didn't have a 1st degree black belt, I could not open up a school. Thanks to Rob from McDojo Life, I have learned that none of those laws exist. Registering my hands, none of that shit exists. I'm hurting. Because at 49 years old and knowing this shit now, when I was young and in my 20s and 30s, I would have never had to go to the army. I could have done my entire thing that I wanted to do. But certain martial artists and teachers, you know what schools you are, you bloody bastards, straight told me, without a 5th degree black belt, you can't open up a school. Without a 1st degree black belt, you can't teach in anybody's dojo. And I had been beating people who had 1st degree black belts. And I'm like, it doesn't make any fucking sense. If you got a fucking 1st degree black belt, I should not be able to touch you. That was my belief, that if you had a black belt, I personally, a street fighter, should not be able to put my motherfucking hands on you. Then, Rob from McDojo Life, a few years ago, when I started following him on TikTok, I had asked him about that shit. He was like, "Dude, that shit doesn't exist. In none of the 50 fucking states, you don't have to register your hands as a black belt. In none of the 50 states in America, you have to be a 5th degree black belt to open up a dojo." So then there's other senseis and stuff that I also follow. Shout out to Sensei Seth or Sifu Seth. I can't remember which one he goes by, but he also is like, "Nah, dude, you have to have no fucking damn 1st degree black belt to open up a school. You have to have a fucking business license." And I'm like, what? I said, here I am struggling trying to get a fucking black belt, and all I needed was a goddamn business license. He said, yeah. He said, and a lot of these martial art commissions aren't even certified because there's no governing body. And I've been kicking myself in the ass ever fucking since. But, running a dojo was kind of hard. And I could never run a dojo because I want to teach for free. And dojos cost money unless you have land and you can buy your own land and pay for all your bills, which is why I wanted to make movies so that I could open up a dojo and teach for free. Because my movies were going to pay for the dojo. And I was going to be happy because it don't take much to build stuff if you got land. We have land. My family does have land. So, as long as we pay our taxes, we'll still have land. And I can always teach in a park. I can always teach in the backyard. I can teach whatever the fuck I want as long as I have a fucking business license and my papers are legit. And I've been struggling to get a fucking black belt for years because I don't break boards. I don't believe in breaking boards. I don't believe in the black belt system. And here I am at almost 50, pissed the fuck off at myself because of this kind of fucking knowledge that I didn't have. And again, shout out to Rob from McDojo Life. Now, he and I will never agree on pressure points. I believe in them. He does not. Again, shout out to Rob on freaking McDojo Life. But I've also taken Kempo. He probably has not taken Kempo. So I kind of know how pressure points work. I've also taken more Chinese martial arts and Japanese martial arts. And a lot of Japanese martial arts, with the exception of Kempo, does not actually deal with pressure points. They do deal with locks and grapples, though, which should still have something to do with pressure points. But hey, it is what it is. But, I'm sitting here mad as fuck about this shit. And then, like I said, there's the black belt system. And I don't care who you are, when you leave that dojo, it doesn't matter what degree black belt you have. If you get into a bar fight or anything in the streets, no one in that bar knows you know shit until you kick them in the face. No one. And that's a problem. Because a lot of people think, oh, well, I have a black belt, so I can beat your ass. I have a comb. I can kill your ass. So you can have all the black belts you want. Doesn't fucking matter. Because as deadly as I am with this comb, I'm twice as deadly with a motherfucking spoon. Because when I was in high school, I was taught how to do things by a Green Beret. All my uncles are military. You think I ain't picked up some tricks from them? I have one uncle on my mom's side. My Uncle Bruce was not military. Uncle Robert was military. You think they didn't teach me some shit? My Uncle Bryson, we just learned about when my Uncle Bruce died, so I don't know if he has any military experience. I didn't know him long enough to get to know him because COVID happened and never got back down to Smithfield. Now, on my mama's side, I think all but two of my uncles were military. So, if you think I didn't pick anything up with those years of being a 6-year-old kid and them making me go out and fight people, because this is how this works. Fight him or fight us. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all over 6 foot. I'm a kid. Fight the kid that's bigger than me, fight my uncles. I took my chances with the kid that was bigger than me, and I come from a family of you better not lose, or we're going to beat your ass and send you back out there and make you fight again. And I know you're thinking, what's the fucking relevance? This is the fucking relevance of that fucking black belt system, because just because you have a black belt does not mean that you can fight. It just means you have a black belt. It just means that you worked hard in the dojo, you did college, you did all the other stuff that you could possibly fucking do, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you can fight your way out of a wet paper bag when shit gets real. Now, if you are a martial artist, most of the time, all senseis are required to do this, or they just assume they are required to do this by law. They straight tell you, you try to de-escalate, you try to walk away. And I will not disagree with that. You try to de-escalate, you try to walk away. However, there are situations where you just can't fucking walk away and you are going to have to fight. And you're going to have to know the difference between those situations. As a guy who's 5'3" and I've been jumped twice in my life, maybe more. You just need to know about twice. But I've been jumped enough to know that your shit better work. It's just that fucking simple. Your shit better work. And a lot of people, they fail to tell you that sometimes a lot of shit that you learn won't work on some people. I am never going to out-muscle anybody with my 125-pound frame. Alright? I'm not going to out-muscle you. So I'm going to fight smarter, not harder. Or I'm going to do both. But I'm also open to fighting dirty. Because it's a fucking fight. I got this comb. Right angle, and I go across the right spots on your body, your ass is going to be in some trouble. but I know lethal ordnance. And the trick about fighting is I have to get through your defenses to beat your ass. If I can't get through your defenses, I can't beat your ass. It don't get no simpler than that. They leave that shit off. So when you're following martial artists, check them. Check them like, yo, so if I'm doing this, this, and this, and they don't have like an answer similar to, well, how long you been training? Have you actually been in actual combat? Have you actually fought somebody and won using the shit that you've learned in the dojo? Have you used the combo of your instincts and what you learned? Because that's always going to be a factor. I find myself going with what I know quicker than anything else, and I also tell people when I make these demos, basics save your ass. That fancy shit is good in the movies because you have a stunt team that makes you look great. And in real life, your chances of pulling a tornado kick and connecting are quite fucking slim. Now, if you're like in the wrestling business, they're supposed to let you hit them. Alright? I mean, I wouldn't let you tornado kick the shit out of me unless I knew that you could pull that shit without fucking knocking my head clean off. You know? Because you have to have control. And you have to sell that hit. So if we worked that shit out that day and he's like, look, I'm gonna tornado kick you tonight. Okay? I'm gonna catch you in the back of the neck. So, we can work that shit out. It's like, are you gonna kick me as hard as you can? Or are you gonna like make it look good by facial expressions and put just enough pepper behind that bitch to knock my ass down without fucking killing me? No, because martial arts is dangerous. Understand that shit. Good hits to the back of the neck can seriously do some shit to people. Which is why when I tell people, if I'm gonna fight you, I'm not fighting for a fucking win. I'm fighting to end your shit. Period. I'm 5'3.5". I'm 49 years old. I'm not playing with you. I am not playing with you. I'm gonna smash your fucking backbone of that neck through your front part of your neck. And I know I'm probably pissing off every martial artist when I say that, but here's the facts. Yo, my camera disappeared for something I done touched, so hopefully the audio won't kick in. I'm sorry. I hope you guys can still see me. I did something. I don't know what I did. I'm not good with tech. I'm sorry. But if I'm fighting you, I'm fighting to survive. And if you throw this punch, I'm going to be over here. This elbow is getting pushed through here. This wrist is getting pulled as I push through here. I'm breaking this bitch. See how this works? See that? You see how it travels down here? For those who don't do pressure points or bone breaks or anything about arteries and shit. This being broken stops this from functioning. Alright? It's like Kempo 101. So, and I took Kempo, Kempo, not Kenpo, just so we can clarify that. I'm breaking your shit. Not because I want to, because I have to. I am a tiny ass man. And I'm not going to just sit here and let you whoop my ass. Now, the trick is, I got to figure out your range so I can control your range. I got to figure out your strength. So either I'm going to take a hit just to see how strong you are and pray that I can take that hit, or I'm going to avoid every fucking hit as much as possible and hope that you fuck up long enough that I can get something done and break some shit. At the same time, I need to be able to protect myself and make sure that you don't break my shit. Okay? There's a lot of shit that goes into fights, man. And if you're fighting in a sporting event, you're not there to severely hurt your opponent. But if you're fighting in the streets, may the chips fall where they fucking may. But I'm doing my best to end your shit. I'll deal with the law when they get there, because I'm not going to just leave. But I'm not going to kill you. I'm just going to make you wish that I killed you. You know, which is why I'm going to break your elbows and your kneecaps. If I break both of your elbows, the fight should be done. But if you want to keep going, then I'm going to break your fucking knees. And if you're not done after that, well, I don't know how you're going to swing punches when your arms don't function. But if you still keep coming, and I can't knock you out any other way than put you in a rear neck and choke, then that's what I'm going to do. I don't want to have to do that, because I just broke your elbows and your kneecaps. That should be a fucking enough. Now, unless you like jacked on steroids or some shit, that shit right there should stop you. But if you're jacked on steroids and I have to use more lethal ordnance than enough, then I'm gonna collapse your fucking windpipe. A person who can't breathe, it doesn't matter how big they are, they can't stop you if they can't breathe. And anybody who has a problem with that, go hit somebody in the throat. Ask them how they feel when they wake up, if you don't go to jail for damn near killing them. That being said, we are done with the black belt portion. So I'm going to make a totally different video about the human body being the weapon, or whatever the hell I said in the prep show. I'll have to go back and watch that. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. I'm Echo Fan Grey Wolf. I've given you 30 minutes of what I hope is a good lesson. And if I've pissed you off and you are a martial artist, good. I did my fucking job. You know, the job you're supposed to do. Because when you don't tell people the dark side about martial arts, you get them fucked up. Especially when you tell them, oh, you got a black belt, you're a badass now, you're a badass. A black belt does not make you a badass. It just makes you a high-ranking student in that damn dojo. And if possible, a partner, maybe a teacher, maybe a coach, but it does not make you a badass. Do not let your black belt think you are a badass. And understand there's a difference between street fighting and professional fighting. Professional fighting has rules, street fighting does not. Understand there is a difference. A street fighter will probably go into the UFC and get their ass handed to them, because they have to follow rules. No eye gouging, no ripping off the nose, no punching in the throat, no breaking elbows and kneecap purposefully, no lethal ordnance. Where in the streets, you can do all that shit. You're probably going to go to jail, but you can do all that shit. Remember, you're probably going to go to jail. So breaking an elbow and a kneecap is a whole lot better than breaking a fucking neck. Anyway, that being said, I'm Echo Fan Grey Wolf. I hope I taught you guys something, and please don't attempt any of that shit at home. And if you don't have fighting experience, find someone who's going to train you properly, and then train after the training. You got to put more training in, because what you put in is what you're going to get back. And if you don't accelerate your training, if you don't practice, if you don't make it a way of life, it could backfire on you. So, that being said, I'm Echo Fan Grey with this Kung Fu Having number 2. Be seeing you.